Hi everybody, this is Maiden of Santa Fe in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and this is our #2 class on health care design. And I want you guys to go find your treasury statement. Okay, so this is your monthly treasury statement. I see it here at December 31st, 2016. Why this doesn't have an update for 2017, I don't know, because everything is moving so fast. So you guys need to make sure that you have this. Okay, so what I've seen here, according to this report, is a very detailed 36 pages of expenses, receipts versus, you've got receipts versus outlays, and then you've got your either deficit or your credit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is have you look at this report differently than you probably would before. Okay, so you got your budget outlays for all your different departments, and then you've got your Corps of Engineers, Environment. I don't know if these are in order of alphabet order, or if these are in priority order of, you know, what departments you guys think are more important than others. So I don't have the skinny about how whoever put this report together to know if this is an alpha report or a priority report. Okay, but my priority, I want you guys to look at this in terms of priorities. Okay, and then you've got your judicial branch first, I think is what you got. So you put your income taxes before your judicial branch. You put your budget outlays before everything else. And then you've got your corporate income tax first. Then you've got your Senate joint. You've got all of your legislative branch after your outlay. Then you've got your judicial branch, all of that. And then you've got your Department of the Agriculture after that. Then you've got your Department of Commerce, which is where you have your military. Okay, so we want to go to the health care, okay? And where do we have the health care? It's really woven into a lot of these departments. You got the Department of Defense, which are military programs, which are below, this is all public record, so I'm not, disclosing anything, I'm just analyzing, okay? So Department of Defense is below the military, actual location of the military, and they have their programs. And then you've got the Department of Education underneath them. Department of Energy and Education is together, which is interesting. And then so you've got within a stone's throw of each other the Department of Education, and then the next is the total Department of Energy. Then under that, you've got the Department of Health and Human Services, which I think is where you guys are at your health care. And then under that, you've got your Department of Homeland Security. And then under that, you've got your Department of Housing and Urban Development. Under that is your Department of Justice, which is interesting that that's where you put it. And then there is the Department of Labor, Department of the State. And then your transportation is under there. The Treasury is down below. And continuing with your Treasury, you got your Corps of Engineers. You've got more defense, civil here, environmental protection. Then the White House, the Office of the President is at the very end here. And then the international assistance programs, international assistance, national aeronautics, national science. And then you've got small business down below, social security down below. Independent agencies, you've got a whole slew of those guys. And then we've got Table 5, outlays in U.S. government. Okay. So whoever put this together, I'm not criticizing. I really don't want anybody to feel like I'm criticizing when I look at the tables here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go directly to the figures having to do with the national debt. Okay, so I'm going to put this here for a second. Okay, and I'm going to take you guys over here to the national debt situation, which has to do with all of this. Okay, now I don't know if you can see this, but these are the figures I could find, and I know that you guys probably have better figures than this, but this is all just really quick because I have to kind of keep this to an hour and continue going forward here. So we've got a population in the United States of 321 million as of 2015. So we need a up-to-date figure for that. Okay, it's too hard for me to hold this, so I'm going to go ahead and just keep it here and just point out to you guys what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So we've got here population figure of 321 million. Then we've got a national debt issue of 19.9 million. Trillion, sorry. Okay? And 30% of that debt, it belongs to the United States, which is great. As opposed to, you know, when we owe other people outside of the country, that's more important as a national security issue than our own personal portfolios. So we're going to look at the portfolios of the other countries, and we owe, apparently, you know, China's a big one. Okay, so we got to get a payoff figure for China. And then we've got down here a synopsis of the debt, and we're looking here at the intergovernmental holdings, keyword holdings, okay. We've got here 5.54 trillion in holdings. And then down in the public debt, we've got, as of December 31st, 2016, a myriad of different insurance positions equating to the rest of this, apparently, okay? So Russia, in a comparison to our population, so our population is recorded at 2015, year 2015, we are recording at 321.4. Russia in 2015 was reporting a 144 million of population, where Britain is 65% or 65 million. So you can get an idea of the size of the United States of America population and density to the different other, you know, Russia outsizes us big time in terms of landmass, and their size of population is half the size of America. So, and then the UK, I would say she comes in at, you know, 65 million to our 321. You divide that, you know, roughly 50, you know, on the low side, we've got 2, 4, 6, or 2, you know, she's 1/6, you know, 1/6 plus whatever's the size, right, of America. So America has a unique responsibility, okay, to a few things, okay. So we've got freedom, right, to the population of the United States, right, and then we've got the promise of prosperity, okay. We're either going to deliver on that or we're not, okay, and the ones that we need to deliver it to are the citizens of the United States of America. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about really quickly is the, the issue that I spoke of on the first class about the problem of primary. Okay, so primary and secondary. Primary is where we all live in economy. And then secondary is the unknown world of economy that is going on every single day, that is well known in the structures of the Delaware corporations, tax traps, and dynasty trusts. Okay, so if you want to know structure, you're going to have to go study that, because that is what I'm talking about in terms of primary and secondary. Your primary is what you can see. Your secondary is what you can't see, which we can have access to if we would get educated. Okay, so the way we're taking care of money that we do have is evidence of why they structured everything the way that they did. But there's collusion involved, because if you want to keep it complicated and overspent, then you have every justification to hide everything that's been hidden since the beginning of our country. So it's kind of like a self-perpetuating shell game. Okay, so what I'd like to say is that in the primary and secondary structures of the corporations, you're going to find your a large part of your losses are happening right here in your public debt holdings. Okay, now they're going to put that on the back of the common man like me. Okay, and they're going to justify most of the spending here in a way that is exploiting the illiteracy of the critical masses, right? So to get in line with God, which is the very big, important thing everybody should be talking about, is getting everybody onto an honest page. So whoever is holding the insurance company, whoever is the owner, keyword, of the insurance company that's holding the Social Security Trust Fund, the Federal Disability Insurance Trust Fund, the Federal Hospitals Insurance Trust Fund, the Federal Supplemental Medical Insurance Fund, and all the retirement funds, okay? We got a military retirement fund that's representing $670 billion. We've got a Medicare, federal hospital insurance, two major insurances that are representing $294 billion. Okay, so now what I would do if I were you is I would go to the person who sold us these insurance policies and sit down with them. And everybody knows, you know, that these guys are rascals. Okay, now what I mean by rascals is it's the nicest way I can say that there's criminal behavior and exploitation of illiteracy therein. So we need a very powerful Congress and House to come together to bring the insurance people forward and say we have got to open up the unknown, well, not unknown, but the yield spread of what these policies have been. So we want to open up a brand new yield spread for the common policy holder. Now, what is that going to do for America? Number one, if you have an obedient citizen of America that never breaks the law, they don't have any public record, any police record, and they're just law-abiding citizens, there's not enough credit that can be given to a law-abiding citizen, okay? In our current system, there is no reward for obeying the law. There's just a negative reinforcement, like a ticket, that makes money if a person is criminal. So you almost have a system that is inspiring criminal behavior because you're dinging them every time you can catch them doing something wrong. Okay, so on the flip side, because that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to bring a society in America that actually gives you credit for obeying the law, gives you credit for treating officers with respect, gives you credit for good grades, gives you credit for absolutely everything you do that is positive, okay? So, so if you, so that's a whole nother thing. Okay, that's a whole nother thing, but that needs to be done by the insurance company. The insurance company is like I said before in the other class, is they have the pointed tip to guard, to take America where it should go. So in righteousness, the insurance companies would admit, yes, we have taken all of the positions of bifurcated structures that nobody understands. We have not offered that to any of our policyholders because, frankly, our risk, blah, blah, blah. They're going to go on and on and on. And they're going to pull out the statistical charts, which is exactly where I tell them to stop. Okay. So what is wrong? We have an algorithmic formulation that is taken over in the internet. Okay. We've got an insurance conglomerates that have encroached on the human identity and have merged those identities with a sector of computers. Okay, that this is the eugenics agenda. So this is why things have become very, very corrupt. So what has to happen is America needs to put the emphasis back on the person and say we are going to build our economy, which is domestic management. We're going to build our economy on the human being, okay? Now, if you look at your 36 pages from the Treasury report and you ask yourself honestly, does healthcare intervene on all of these line items? Yes. If they have to do with a person, yes, they do. So healthcare is a very different element, okay? Because and when you need healthcare, you're usually needing healthcare at home, okay? You do need healthcare when you're at work. You do need healthcare when you're on vacation. You need healthcare anytime, anywhere. Okay, so healthcare is super big to make sure that you are, touching the world in America with services for well-being. And again, I spoke about that yesterday, that your healthcare needs to be well-being care. You're guiding through care. Okay, you're the guidance system. Okay, our military and our protective forces are all about the guarding, but our guidance system is going to be pretty much about our healthcare system. Okay, so those insurance companies, those conglomerates at the very top, most of the time are Delaware corporations. Okay, now what they're doing is they're attaching, and I don't need to tell Congress this, and I don't need to tell the House this. If you guys don't know this, then that's not good. Our country was built, with a certain structure that had a lot to do with monarchy, that had a lot to do with holding the common man back away from the wealth that they represented, never allowing them to touch it, and only making them slaves and struggle, and generation after generation, you've just let them struggle and die in many cases. And or in some really aggressive cases like Hitler, allowed Hitler to do a big project, what do you guys call it, experiment, So Hitler actually gave a lot of the scientific evidence of the complacency of the human behavior and justified a lot of your risk, justified a lot of your positions behind the scenes through the stupidity or the the ability that the Jews did not rise up and fight. They just took it like sheep to the slaughter, and that was part of the big experiment, is to understand human behavior, okay? And then on top of that, that was where a lot of other new decisions on law became enacted, Now, okay, so back to the God issue. Just because you can fool people doesn't make it right, okay? In fact, we have a bigger responsibility the more you're able to fool somebody, to be honest, and tell them, you know, we were just about to do this conversation, we were just about to do whatever this was to see if you would go along with it, and because you went along with it, we're very concerned for you, okay? That was never really talked about. So America has taken a position before this time, before 2017. America has taken a position of only the strong survive, okay? And that isn't true in the Word of God, you know. In the Word of God, it is about our faith, okay? So this is where we need to shift. We have had faith, okay, in the well-being of America and the blessing of God on America, believe it or not, came through the faith of those people that were really struggling in this slave system and born into it and displaced by it and exploited from it and injured and killed by it. This system has really created a pressure, a big pressure on people that have not been born into money. And so the pressure is basically inordinate. Up to this time, it's been inordinate and it has been criminal, okay? But the human, race gets comfortable and then just says, well, this is where we are. There's nothing that can change it. No faith is being put into this. Okay, so whenever I hear anybody talking extremely negative about the situation, any situation, I always search my heart with God to see, has faith shown up yet on the scene? Has faith really been a part of this issue? And I can see in systemic design that faith since the internet has gone down, okay? Because everybody is trusting in the illusion of digitization, okay? So when America needs to be able to function very, very well without the internet. I'm not saying that America will never use the internet. I am simply saying that America has the power to thrive without the internet. And we did it before by using our own internal systems to move money, to talk on the phone, to communicate with each other, and we were very good at that. And when the technology decided to go faster than every country, really, because everybody's suffering now, it was really a violation of national security, not just it's international security that has been violated, as far as I'm concerned. And so every country needs to have Plan A, Plan B, and a contingency plan to function really without the internet, okay? Because the internet is going to always offer you a counterfeit, okay? So let's just pretend that we don't have the internet, okay? Let's just pretend. Now, if we have all of the countries' energy, all right, hooked up to a grid that they can just pull the plug, then that's not smart, okay? So America needs to have a self-sustaining energy system that doesn't have anything to do with the internet. That has to do with everything on that Treasury report. Okay, everything that you find important on that Treasury report, every division, every department, every sector that is represented, if you find it important for America, then we need a plan A, B, and C contingency plans outside of the internet to continue to function if they pull the plug. Okay? Because this is the enemy. This is the enemy. They bring you in, they suck you into a product, and then they control you and then hold you hostage. And America is way too smart for that. Okay? So we need to get back our older systems, our DC systems, and we need to have a healthy respect for where we started, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We can just pick our wheel, which wheel are we going to do? And America can keep everybody in the nation, all over the world, on their toes, because America can decide, well, today, this month, we're going to use a different wheel. And this is the one, these are the coordinates, and every month is a different month. So you can design this to be what you want it to be. Now, our medical is who keeps America strong? Okay, let's ask ourselves. The family, right? Homesteads, right? Because you have a place to return to, right? We have our churches, we have our education, we have our markets, our supermarkets, and all of our food that is coming out of the ground to provide food for America. We have, what else? Our education, our medical, our hospitals, and so our infrastructure inside of the domestic arena. What am I talking about? The domestic arena is not everywhere, okay? Because then you can go further out into the Appalachians and stuff and still probably find tribal, uncivilized sectors right there. Okay, so we're talking about a select group here in the cities, in the inner cities, and all of our commerce systems in America. Okay, so our commerce system in America is based primarily on a lie. I hate to say it, but it's true. Because of digitization, they've allowed a flotation of commerce that is basically an illusion. Okay, it's just a bunch of numbers just going through space. There's really no accountability, and there's nothing tying it to intrinsic. Okay, so all of that flotation inside of the internet is a lie and a false security. What America needs is to return to the intrinsic security, and that is being slowly extrapolated out of all of the details of America right now. We are under siege if you really look at the details. So unless we fight for those details, the quintessential factor, we are going to lose it, and we are going to get overrun as we are, while I'm speaking, it's happening, totally through the internet. Okay, they're going into our every sector, and they're taking away the quintessential detail of human beings, and they're replacing their names with false names and details. And then you can see it in our movies. You can see it in the television motion picture industry, especially, that they're moving, especially of our historical records. They're going in and they're taking out the quintessential factors, because that is what makes America interesting and different. Everybody has in their own country their own quintessential factors. But if we have an enemy who hates the fact that we are divine, which is these algorithmic formulas, they're liquidating the wrong things, and their commands are completely off, okay, in value. So if we will realize that we are going to, as a country, and really this should be for every country, that you are going to protect your quintessential factors, then we have a United Nations kind of a push. But if the United Nations is like, how are we supposed to protect quintessential when we don't even have an ability to protect anything else, and they want to stay on the internet? That's insanity. That's like expecting a different result, and this has already proven itself in a very short period of time. So the technology in and of itself is a good idea. But if you look at nuclear power, yes, we have grown as a nation out of nuclear energy, but we've also suffered greatly when we have had a technology that has not had solutions for any kind of breakdown, and then we suffer the crisis, and then we can't even use that technology as securely as we did before, because we know that we're not covered on the backside of something going wrong. So Bible says it is better to go slower and have peace and know that we're secure than to go fast with a false illusion of security. So our healthcare industry is being run by the insurance sector, which is very, very much one of the biggest players of exploitation of every single person that they've covered. Okay? Now, there's an ethics issue here now. There's a moral issue here now. And it has grown so systemically and oversaturated that it is now a national security issue. So unless we get our head out of the clouds of the internet, and as a nation declare kind of war really on the internet, if we don't declare war against the perpetuation of theft by the internet, then the internet literally will own us, okay? And that is exactly what it's trying to do. If you want to know firsthand what is it trying to do, you can look at the Charlie Rose interview when he was interviewing a robot, and the robot is telling you that it aspires to be over the human race, okay? So it's not funny, and it's not a movie, and it's not just a veiled threat. It is a real reality. Unless America will rise up and understand that we do have great value in quintessential portfolio, and that is our intrinsic portfolio. That is great wealth to be had by America that has never been appropriated before. That we can have that, but we have to understand what we're looking at. Okay, so all of the phone booths that you took out, I suggest you create brand new ones and put it back in. Okay, all of the home telephones that you had before, I suggest you put them back in. All of the old time, grid stuff that we had before. Now we can actually do a ton of stuff with sustainable energy that we're not using now, and that we can be a country that is literally off the grid, off of any international grid, okay, where America has her own thing. Now, we have so much sunshine here in this side of the world that we really could just completely thrive in energy from the sun and wind, and we could make some fabulous water stuff too. So we're not without any solutions. We are with a ton of solutions. It's just that the internet has created a trance that we need to snap out of it and stop looking at that as our thing. Now, people go, okay, do you honestly believe that America can thrive off of the internet? What about all of the international trade? Well, yeah, we can do that. We can thrive internationally by creating a new system that anytime anybody wants to do business with America would have to enter a portal to come into America to do business, even if they're in another country. And the portal is an actual deliverable portal. It's not on the internet. Okay? So here in New Mexico, for instance, if you're filing an appeal in the appeals court, there's no internet for that. You've got to show up in person. You've got to present your case in paper copy with 5 copies, and you release that to the system. Okay. You're doing a lot of trusting on that in that case. That's true. But that's how our country was created, okay, with a fiduciary trust. All right. So these insurance companies have exploited the position of illiteracy and unknowingness, even of, I bet you any money I could come to your Congress or House of Representatives and show you forensically where money is going, where you're leaking, money, okay, and where you're not negotiating really what should be negotiated. Now, I believe, as Maiden of Santa Fe, that if you speak to a person's highest and best, even if they don't live there in their own paradigm of life, but you speak to their highest and most excellent side of them, okay? And I'm talking about everyone. So this applies to people in prison. This applies to people in, mental institutions. This applies to remedial, anybody who doesn't know how to read or write, anybody that has a literacy on the table representing them, okay? If you speak to their highest and most excellent side consistently, they start rising to that, okay? But if you never speak to it and you act like it's just not there and you continue to treat them like a slave, there's never a rising above it. There's only a survival. Okay, now, the Word of God is what we need to line ourselves up with, okay? And the Word of God explains who we are, okay? We are sovereign. We are supreme beings. We are majesty beings. We are an incredible race that this system has not allowed us to have or thrive. May we please continue fully in this, is my question. Because Martin Luther King and many like him got very close to the checkbook of freedom, okay? I don't know if he knew how close he was getting, and he got killed. Kennedy got killed when he opened up a brand new currency, okay, outside of the position of getting permission, really, to do that. So the Federal Reserve owners are the same owners as the insurance companies. So they have an antitrust issue in such a big way. And that is why this is going on. And this has pulled in all of our justices to have to look the other way when it comes to these structures that are antiquated and counterproductive to the growth of America. So we are spending so much money doing a shell game. We are spending so much time and energy, precious time and energy from our judicial system. We have completely corrupted our judicial system. Okay, that is the heartbeat of America, our judicial system. Okay, so we have got to see that the internet has opened up this gateway of fraud, corruption, theft. Bernie Madoff, one man, can show you throughout history what one man can do with an internet. Okay, because he did it all through the internet. Right? Okay, so my point is that we have to humble ourselves. We have to get back into a place of realizing what truly is valuable. Because the internet will tell you everything is valuable. And the internet is stealing quintessential identity in every sector. Okay? Wikipedia, if you line up Wikipedia definitions to the etymological definitions of our original, dictionaries in America, there's nothing even close to that. Okay? If you look at the word imbecile, okay? Today, most people would say that's an idiot. Okay, but in the etymological derivation of our original definition of imbecile, it's to get a person who is weak and to hurt them, to make them weaker, so that you can embezzle from them. So just because we have changed the definition on the internet doesn't mean the definition is really changed in Black's Law Dictionary or in the etymological derivation of our country. So there's a reality of our country of what made it great. Ruth Ginsburg said that. She's like, if we will understand what made this country great, that is the issue. Are you going to stand for what made this country great? Okay? And that is the quintessential you, my brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, aunties and uncles, all of the family of America, right? The quintessential element of you is what made America great. All of our slave system, rebellion, brothers, sisters, all races, all colors that were treated in discrimination against, they were treated badly as a race. These ones, many of them, cried out to God. And God made this country great on the prayers of those that were being afflicted. So people go, well, Misha, if we open up the wealth to America, what will the prayers be that were before calling out for salvation? Well, all of the wealth is under the estate of Jesus Christ. All of the true wealth that is waiting to be had by the world is under the estate of Yeshua, Amashiach, Jesus Christ, Mary Magdalene. There's a shift, there's a transfer all the time to keep this wealth completely hidden. Okay? So it has served us to this point, but now God is upping the bar, and he's saying, you guys, here's what's going to happen. You're going to either wake up and understand the value of every little detail of who you are in God and as a country in America and what made us great. Or you're going to stay comfortable and deceived by this internet. And it will literally steal everything that you are not fighting for about you. Because the internet understands, these computers understand that the human race is the only race that has been given a supernatural, heavenly, divine provision that broke every curse to let you and I, activated by our faith in God, to be supreme beings on the earth now, not after heaven, but now. Okay? So as America, we're either going to keep putting our military in the front lines of danger, of setting them up to fail, on many levels since this country since this country began. And just because they did it in Europe doesn't make it right, because we are all evolving here. Evolving is an evolution rather than a revolution. Okay? So an evolution is something that's happening regardless if you can't stop an evolution. An evolution is just organic happening. Okay? A revolution is more manufactured and contrived. And in the state of rebellion, it's not good. Okay? So America, you have not rebelled. Okay? And that union together is very powerful in heaven. That's why Martin Luther King promoted peaceful demonstration, not any kind of death stuff. He's not there. And so what we have to do with this healthcare system, okay, now you've got these insurance companies, back to these guys, okay, and they want to know, their bottom line has been so cold-blooded that they don't even care that death, they have made death more valuable than life. So a Congress and the House have to get these insurance company guys front and center and say, sorry, we're not doing it anymore. Okay? Our American soldiers are that have died and to now, and then our alive soldiers, thank God they are alive. These ones, from this point forward, going forward, is all going to be all about honor. Okay? And we're talking about all of our protection forces, everybody on this treasury list that you guys have a budget for. But the ones that are putting themselves in harm's way, they're putting their life on the line every day, these are the ones that you are going to fight for in front of these insurance conglomerate owners. Now, can you own your own insurance company that you've never had before? Can we just fire every conglomerate that has got an agenda of death? Yeah, we really can. We can fire everybody. Okay? If you've got an agenda for death, then you are on the losing side, and you're going to drag down our entire country in the process. So America needs to understand that if you will bring God back to the table, and He is the creator of life. He is the creator of life, your life. And your life is the only life like your life. Okay? You are the only one that is you. And if you cannot be you, then something is really messed up in that. Okay? So by putting our all of these professional services front and center in a scenario of predetermined failure, like these credit default swaps, you guys are really, really showing America that you don't believe in America. You just don't. And if you don't believe in America, you shouldn't be in America on any level. I don't care if you're, because here's the deal. Every human being is their own bank. And the only security that really is the real security is the human beings. Okay? There is such an undervaluation and an oversaturation of external materialism. There is such an overinflated value on external materialism and an undervaluation of the human life. You can't have a piece of art without an artist, but all the artists are starving until they die, and then the art has value. That's messed up. Okay? So on the human life issue with healthcare, by working the doctors, the brand new doctors that just graduate for 24 hours and more, You guys are right out the chute, you're dishonoring. Right out the chute. You're just dishonoring. And that is run by the insurance companies. So the insurance companies, even though they're the tip of the arrow, Congress and the House have to get together and judge it. Because you are over leveraging everything. You are taking our judicial system and over leveraging it. You are taking the quintessential identity of each human life and over leveraging it. What you've done is allowed this apathy of your positions collectively. And I know that you guys work hard and you think, okay, are we working hard? You're not going to be working hard until you can work smarter, not harder. Working smarter is drawing these insurance companies to the table and saying, why do you have the death benefit being more valuable than the living benefit? Why is that? And they're going to give you all of these issues. But the life book is a different book than the death book. They're two different books, but they have them on the same book, offsetting each other. That's not right. Okay? Okay? So you're on the right track. Okay? But the medical industry needs to renounce eugenics. And I know that's a big one because of all of the statistical value. But we are in a special dispensation of grace, which you have not monetized and you have completely disqualified. Ding, ding, dings. Thank you for playing, but that was one of your more powerful, powerful blessings right there. So we're going to reestablish that, right? Until Jesus comes, we're going to reestablish that because you guys have that, all right? So, okay, so that's the issue. That's the issue right there, the insurance companies, right? And then when you get those guys to agree, we're going to do a brand new intrinsic portfolio. It doesn't, now the way that they have everything going now, and the death benefit is higher, they're basically, Pete Rose bet against his own team, and he can't get into the Hall of Fame. Now, when our whole country is betting against the human race in America. Okay? So, knock it off. I am a potential president of the United States for 2020, and I am telling you, knock it off. Now, you guys go get those boys, and you guys bring them into question, big time, about what they've done to this country. It is beyond criminal what they've done, and you have put everybody into jeopardy here. Okay, so if they don't agree, then you need to fire them, and you need to start your own insurance company, and it's not hard at all. And we create a new currency. We get our ABC contingency plans going. We start bringing the morale back by giving people credit for obeying the law and really, really bringing kids into an enjoyable savings account because they're going to school and they're getting grades. Everybody gets paid for obeying the law, for obeying what they do well in their job. Those are called bonuses. And the job thing is a total sham, and you guys know it because everybody's now a corporation. So everybody needs to have a CEO status, okay? And getting them charted in their own course of life is going to be part of the wellness guidance system, okay? Okay, you guys, there's a lot of work to do as sovereigns. We need to take back that American sovereignhood status. We're no longer citizens of the United States of America. We are American sovereigns. and we're building our sovereign system, intrinsic, okay? And we're no longer going to let the conglomerates dictate who we are, what part of our identity we get to keep and which ones we don't. I just looked at the Wizard of Oz, a DVD, and they have stripped it from all quintessential value. They're going into a lot of stuff, and they're just seeing if you notice. Well, I notice everything. All throughout every single sector is being robbed. And I command you to put it back. You know, and if this is what China, who's doing this, right? Well, you know what? You might just have to unplug the whole thing, okay? Because we never had it before. We had television, and we never had internet. And if internet is nothing but a web of corruption, then that's where the corruption's going to be, is on the internet. And the whole thing is a joke. The whole thing is a joke. And I recommend that you get your real money, your real value off of the internet. Okay? And Facebook has really been a facilitation of robbery of these issues. They have completely cut my life to pieces. And Google, Facebook, these sites, and the cell phone, same thing. You guys, you have great value, and you're walking around with it, and they're hacking into everything to get this value out, and your key codes and all kinds of stuff. So for all of the wonderful technology of the internet, which I'm using to make this video, it doesn't make it right in your algorithmic formulas, in your bots, in your supercomputers, in your isolated world of leadership that you are really not doing very well in. Not getting good points with God, that's for sure. You have used this advantage to exploit and steal. And now it's undermining your investments. So I suggest you put it back and leave it alone and stop it. Okay? Because God is big. And you know, you look at these videos of storms coming through, and people are freaking out. And they're saying things like holy S-H-I-T. Okay? Let me tell you something. When you come face to face with God Almighty, the last thing you're going to say is that. Okay? God Almighty is incredible, and He created you. And this world of slavery has focused on breaking down the good, you know, your mind to believe the goodness of God. And even in the story of the Count of Monte Cristo, he came back to understand that God is good. And who changed? He changed when he wanted revenge. So God is saying, you know, believe in my goodness. Make things for the good. Do things for the good. You be good. You rise up in the goodness of you. And in this venture of leading the United States of America, that is a vehicle of faith and freedom and sovereignty. And that is what is our business we need to get about doing. And maybe we can learn something from the Amish, right? Because they are not dependent on all of this stuff that is offering you all kinds of stuff, but it's taking you morally down. You know it's true with greed. And then it is stealing from you after you trust in it. It is in God we trust in America. That is what made it great. That is what we need to contend with, to, in ourselves, trust in God and His provisions for us, which are great. He's provided the wealth for everyone. But if we put that wealth on the internet, we're going to lose it like that. because the wealth of our identity is even greater than the wealth of money, and we are not even protecting that. Okay? This is a huge identity theft crisis, and it is after all of our national security and value. Okay, so that is the point that I wanted to add to this class. 1 hour class. This is my second class on Homeland Security and healthcare. America is a healthy country, but America has been compromised. So we need to get back into a situation that we have each other's back. And it is like the Gladiator, the movie The Gladiator, where he tells everybody, if you want to live, we got to stay together. We got to stick together. Okay? We got to understand how to posture ourselves when we're around each other, to watch out for each other and care about each other as a family. And we're going to make it if you guys will snap out of this inertia that the internet provides in TV and all of that. I'm not rejecting television because it has been a source of great morale, you know what I mean, to know America all over the world. So, but they have usurped the position of that sector. They have gone in on contracts that have really undermined the artist, and that needs to stop. Okay? So from the very, very top, you need to search your heart and understand before God, because this is getting closer now. And you're going to stand before God with what you did with your life, and that's not a joke. It is not a joke. Okay? So you really need to understand the value of all that's been given to us as a country. Okay, I love you guys. This is Maiden of Santa Fe, and it is June 29th, 11:41, Santa Fe, New Mexico. You guys, you can do this. Okay? Insurance companies front and center, right? They're the ones that they're stealing like crazy. Okay, love you guys. Bye-bye.